Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio, and we are here today with Dhimaan Shah. He is coming to us from India. It is just after midnight. And welcome, Dhimaan. Thank you so much for joining us today at this late hour for you.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Debbie.
I'm very excited to have you. I've gone through your website and your homes are beautiful. So first, let me introduce you properly and then we'll dive in. And I always like to learn a
Sure.
little bit about your history before we definitely will talk about your wonderful projects. So Dhimaan Shah, co-founder and co-CEO of Isprava Group. Dhimaan Shah is the executive director and co-CEO of the Isprava Group, the chapter and Lahono Stays. Prior to building Isprava, Lahono Stays. He worked as an investment banker with HSBC in New York and has also successfully built two ventures in the technology space. Dhimaan is a graduate of Northwestern University with a degree in economics. Isprava is India's leading non-urban luxury home developer. Over the past 9 years, Isprava has grown exponentially by creating some of India's most sought-after luxury homes in non-urban locations. The company has over 220 projects worth about USD $360 million spread across Goa, Alibag, Coonoor, and Kasauli. Isprava specializes in designing and building luxury homes and providing high-end services that include identifying the best locations, crafting bespoke spaces, and ensuring seamless delivery of fully furnished homes to homeowners. Focused on Focused on providing only the finest to their customers, Isprava's defining luxury principles, exclusivity, comfort, and integrity, have propelled them to become acknowledged concierge of crafting one-of-a-kind lifestyle experiences through distinctly unique residences. To give you an idea of Isprava's exponential growth, Isprava's gross revenue from operations surged by 2.3 times to INR 404. I can't even say how much it is. 45 20 million. Oh my God, I'm so not in this. And its clientele includes 1% of India's elite. Well, that is a mouthful and that is incredible. But before we dive into all of that success, I love to travel and I love to learn about people and I love to learn about cultures and history. And I will say my son was in India right before the pandemic hit. He was the last flight to San Francisco out of India. We got him home. It was a
Wow.
Navy SEAL extraction, I call it. It was not easy. 3 canceled flights before I was able to get him home from India. So it was, but
Wow.
he loved it. He didn't want to leave. He loved it. So
He should
tell
have stayed.
me, I know, I know. Well, it would have. His friend did. His friend went to a yoga ashram and he didn't want to cut it short, and so he
Yeah.
was there, and he was on lockdown, and it wasn't good. And I actually, his mother called, and I tried to reach out to the former ambassador to Australia to help, and they were trying to get all
Yeah.
kinds of kids out, but it was, well, the pandemic was an insanely crazy time. But I want to hear about you. So what I'm so fascinated in, so tell me your story. You grew up in India, then you are in
Yeah.
America, and so let's hear, like, how did you grow up? What was it like growing up in India? And now it looks like you're back in India, but you're definitely have spent a lot of time here. So look forward to hearing your
Yeah.
story.
No. No. Absolutely. So, grew up in Bombay, in India. Bombay is effectively the biggest city in India, economically at least. So, when you grew up in Bombay, you grew up in a very fast-paced, very, I mean, it's a tiny island with 25 million people living on that one little island.
Wow.
There's a lot going on, and you learn everybody's a businessman in Bombay, right? There's a saying that literally everyone's an entrepreneur in Bombay, right? And you learn that from a young age. So grew up in Bombay, went to school, high school, all of that over here. And then they went and studied in Chicago at Northwestern University, studied economics. And from there, graduated in '08. Actually, a very interesting time vis-a-vis,
Yes.
everything going
Oh,
on in
wow.
finance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And and fortunately got a job as an investment banker in New York. So moved to New York, worked with HSBC in New York, and then I was there for a few years. But I think the thought and the dream always was to start my own business. This was from a fairly young age, and honestly, Debbie, there's no better place to do it than to do it in India. It's even more true today than it was 9, 10 years ago, right?
And why
And
is that? Why does it make it easier to do it there?
you have, I don't know if it makes it easier, but I think the opportunities are so many and so exciting, right, in India. And I'll give you
Okay,
some data points, right?
sure.
1.3 billion people. That's your domestic market, right? That's the market just in India. Um, uh, it's a very young demographic.
Okay.
India is one of those few countries which English is not, it isn't your first language, but it is very widely spoken, very widely used, right? So you can
Hmm.
work with the rest of the world quite easily. You have a young population, you have a fast-growing economy, you have a stable government, you're a democracy, right? And so I think structurally there's just so much going for India, right? And as we're growing and as we've been growing, uh, uh, you know, Indians also put a huge focus on education, right?
Hmm.
People literally, the highest number of loans taken out are for education, for example, in India, right?
Okay.
So you have a very aspirational population. It's a large population. It's young. So India is just an incredibly exciting place to be, right? And with the government, with the stable government that has vision, that kind of wants to grow, and wants India to kind of be a global power, right? It makes India a very exciting place to operate. And that's why India was the no-brainer option for me, at least, and for us to come back. And that's what we did. I came back, and that's how I always say, always joke that stumbled into this business, right? There was no grand plan to be in this business, but we kind of stumbled into it.
So how did you stumble in it? You were working in New York. That was the last point, and I assumed you
Yeah,
must have had some friends that you started throwing this idea around. So how did that?
yep.
How was that
So
born?
like you said, I was working in New York, and the group, the business has been started by my brother and myself, and he
Okay.
was in London. He was working in London, and we both said, hey, let's move back and let's figure what we do, and let's do something, but let's figure it
Yes.
out. So we moved back with no plan. There was no plan. There
Oh
was
my
no
gosh! Wow.
Yeah, there was no grand idea. We didn't really kick the ball around until we moved back. And then, and for a lot of your viewers and maybe yourself as well, I'll give you a quick, because it's very India specific, a bit of a geography, a bit of a geography, a mini geography lesson. But very close
Yes.
to Bombay is a small state called Goa. Now,
Okay.
Goa is one of the most, it's India's answer to Ibiza, the south of France,
Okay.
Monaco, and Miami all put together, right? So
Wow.
it's
That's pretty
it's
impressive.
literally it's yeah it's literally your only real it's your only hot beach destination, right, where people want to be,
And
right? So we
how
have a
far
lot.
flight? How or a flight or a drive from Bombay?
45-minute flight from Bombay. So
Oh
it's a
wow,
really close flight
close.
from Bombay. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's like a 7, 8 hour drive today. That's going to get shorter, but
Okay.
it's a 45-minute flight. It's really accessible to all of India, right? So Bombay, Delhi. Delhi is the capital, and it's in the north of India. So it's like a 2 hour flight, 2.5 hour flight to Goa.
Oh,
Uh,
not
but but
far
but
at
Goa's
all.
not at all, not at all. And Goa's become, India actually has two coastlines, on the east and on the west. So we have a lot of coast, we have a lot of beach, we have a lot of beaches, and we have a lot of, we have all of, but Goa's kind of, it's special for several reasons, right? And as we go through this conversation, I'll touch upon why it is. And that's why all of India kind of descends upon Goa. All of India wants to buy real estate in Goa, and you have a huge population of Indians that reside abroad, right, in the US and the UK and
Right.
Singapore and Hong Kong. And even when they want to buy real estate in India, a lot of them want to buy in Goa. So growing up in Bombay, we used to vacation a lot in Goa. So we literally went to Goa to take just a short break once we moved back to India, and fell back in love with Goa. Right, we're now seeing Goa through the lens of an adult as opposed to through a child, right?
Right.
Because we had been away for so
Uh-huh.
long, and
Right.
just fell back in love with Goa, right? And Goa had literally everything and has everything in the sense you have great infrastructure. It's a very tiny state, and you have two international airports. You have highways and roads and electricity and water, and you just have a lot of the issues that niggle the smaller parts of India don't really niggle Goa as much. So you had all the infrastructure. It's super, like we were just discussing, super accessible, right? 45 minutes from Bombay, 2 to 2.5 hours from Delhi, another 2.5 hours from Kolkata, about an hour from Bangalore, which is another big city.
Oh,
So it's really, really central in that sense, very accessible. It's a very safe state. Yeah, literacy is very high. Literacy is nearly 100% in Goa. So it's very
wow.
safe. People are gentle. It's just got it all, right? And then it had the magic ingredient, what we always call the social infrastructure. And by
Okay.
that I mean it has some of the best restaurants, some of the best bars. The culture is very much, hey, you do you, and as long as you don't get in anyone's way, no one's kind of going to get in your way. So it had this, it has this little magic in the air, right, which is very difficult to explain until you're there. For all those reasons, we said, hey, you know, maybe we should buy a place of our own in Goa. And we just didn't We literally just did not find a single thing that we liked and something that we would consume, right?
Right.
And we said, well, here's the opportunity, right? Let's actually build something, and let's do something for people like us.
So
And
before we finish, I want to go on to that, but I just want to
yeah,
tell you, and I feel so ignorant right now. In my mind, I see India in the movies, and
yeah,
it's all movies, right? So I haven't been.
yeah.
I think of busy, honk, 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 crazy. I think of not what you just described, and I'm sure there's got to be other people that, like me, did not know it was so developed. What you just described of Goa is I had no clue at all. So I
No, it's
really want to
amazing.
come. I had no
No, no, it's
idea
amazing.
that it was,
I mean,
you don't hear that on the
honestly,
movies.
yeah, no, and honestly, Debbie, right? I've lived in New York, right? I've
Right,
spent a lot of time in London. I've spent some time in San Fran. I've traveled the
yeah,
world, right? And
right,
when you're based in India, you spend a lot. You even travel a lot through Europe, etc., right? But
right.
some of the best Japanese food I've eaten outside of Japan, of course, is in Goa.
Wow,
Right? Goa, and the same with some of the best Italian food, and the cuisines are from all over the world, and Goa is special, right? As part of the hippie trail in the 70s, Goa was on
okay,
the map. So Goa
wow,
has this huge international population that floats in and out. They open restaurants, they open bars. The food is great, the vibe is great. It's a very international kind of crew that's over there. So you have a lot of Europeans, you have a lot of you have a lot of British,
right.
you have a lot of Israelis, so you have a lot of people from the Middle East. So it's a really nice mix, and hence the cuisine, the bars, the culture, all of it is a mix. So just it's just a great place to be.
Yeah, it sounds. And so, before you go on to the next, is Goa? Are they high rises? Are they low rises? Are there houses? What's the city? Give me a visual
Yeah.
of what it looks like.
So Goa's a state, but it's a very tiny state, really, really
Okay,
tiny. Goa, then within the state, you have two or three cities, but Goa does not have high rises, right?
okay,
Like your tallest building will be, 7 or 8 floors, right? 7 or 8 levels.
okay,
You're not going to be more than that, right? So
okay.
it doesn't have, I mean, you'll have the odd building in a commercial district that might be
Right.
15, 16. But Goa's, so again, a bit of history. India was a British colony up until 1947. We got independence in 1947. Goa was never a British colony. It was actually just this little, imagine, while the rest of India was a British colony,
Wow.
this little part was a Portuguese colony.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of, yeah, so a lot of the architecture, a lot of and it got independence 14 to 15 years after India got independence. So
Okay.
Goa is
Oh,
still a
must
part of
be
Portugal.
beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Now I have a
it's
visual I was trying
yeah.
to grab onto.
So very heavy Portuguese influence in architecture,
Nice.
in I mean everything, right? Even when you buy land in Goa, a lot of the land records are in Portuguese. You have to translate
Wow.
them, etc., etc. So
So
it's a really fascinating place. So the
yes.
architecture, the layouts, the everything is just very it's stunning. It's beautiful. The capital of Goa, the capital city is Panjim, and it's one of the prettiest cities I've ever been to. It's beautiful. So you've got low rises, you've got a lot of homes, you've got a lot of Portuguese villas, you've got a lot of, even your so-called buildings are just beautifully designed, right? They're these old,
Wow.
lovely, lovely buildings that are just getting refurbished, and so that's broadly the vibe and the feel of Goa.
Okay. Now I got
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Gorgeous. I love architecture, so it
right.
sounds beautiful. So then
No,
you
then
start, and
then
then
then you love Goa.
so you went in to look for yourself, and you couldn't find
Yeah.
anything.
Couldn't find anything, and then we said, hey, maybe this is what we do, right? And it wasn't we didn't start trying to build a real estate company. What we wanted to build was, we had a couple, I guess, theses in our head, right? Thesis number one is India is going to get richer and richer every year as a country, right? India is a rocket ship. Sure, like any country, there'll be ups and downs, but for the most part, there will be exponential growth over the next several decades. So let's actually cater to the luxury part of the market, and let's build a luxury lifestyle brand. It it we weren't wedded, or we weren't even thinking of building a real estate brand. We were thinking of building a luxury lifestyle brand. And the first, and that's why we call ourselves the Isprava group, because within the group we actually have we have four different businesses and
Okay.
across three different industries, and I'll get to that, right?
Yeah.
We first stumbled into what is brand number one, which is Isprava, and Isprava is effectively our real estate business, right? Where we just build what I like to think are some of the most beautiful homes, not just in India, but in the world. And we said, let's build homes for India's elite, for India's, what we call your, your real ultra high net worth individuals. And let's not just build beautiful homes. Let's build an entire ecosystem around it, right? Let's manage these homes. Let's service these homes. So, I mean, Debbie, and I'll get to the homes, right? But even small things like when you want to come and visit your home, right? Your EA or your personal assistant just on our homeowner app just uploads your ticket, yeah, your flight ticket. Everything else is then handled by our team, right? We have a 24 by
Wow.
7 concierge. We send a
Yeah.
car and driver to pick you up from the airport. The staff in your home already know the kind of fruit you like and the kind of that Debbie drinks a single espresso while Debbie's son drinks a cappuccino versus whoever, right?
That's
And
awesome.
all of it is curated and created just for you and your family, right? So for us, luxury wasn't just about building really beautiful real estate. It was about the
Right.
entire ecosystem around the real estate that we were building, and that's how we started.
Wow.
So we started in a very small way, right? We literally just bought one parcel of land and built one home. We eventually ended up building three homes on that first parcel of land, but we really
Right.
just had the capital to build one home. And so we built a home, and we sold it. And in those days, I mean, I'm talking 9 years ago, right? We actually sold the home for around 2 million US dollars, which is a
Wow.
lot of money uh,
Yeah.
for a home for real estate in India 9 years ago. And the real estate in the cities in India. So if you look at Bombay, etc., it's expensive. But in Goa, $2 million was unheard of, right?
Wow.
Those kind of transactions were happening in only maybe two cities in India, Bombay and Delhi. Um, uh, forget forget Goa. No other cities were really doing transactions of that value. And we sold it. We sold it almost immediately because people started buying into the vision, right? And said, "Hey,
Right.
you guys are right. This is what we'd love to be a part of." And that's how the story began, and that's kind of how
Wow.
we started. And yeah, I mean,
That's
I think
incredible.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. And
let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back
sure.
because we are definitely, I can't continue on without a break. Quick break, and we'll be right back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate with Dhimaan from India. Thank you. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here with Dhimaan Shah from India. He's coming to us from, you're in Bombay right now, right?
Bombay, yeah, I'm in
You're in
Mumbai. Yeah,
Bombay,
yeah.
not in Goa, but we are talking about Goa, and I can't wait to look at flights and get there and see your amazing project. So you started with the three, and I know you can't tell me who bought specifically, but who are the people buying these expensive, beautiful luxury homes who are getting these amazing concierge experiences?
So yeah, that's a it's a great question. And in a place like India, there are people, people are getting rich every day through several, different industries. You have services, you have IT, you have pharma, you have manufacturing. I mean, it goes on, right? So the kind of buyers we have are typically entrepreneurs, they're industrialists,
Mhm.
they're CEOs, they're CXOs in general, they're sports people, they're celebrities. So just like you guys have Hollywood, we have Bollywood, which is very, very
Right.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of Bollywood stars, a lot of like I said, entrepreneurs, business people, industrialists, lawyers. So the spread is quite wide, but I
Mhm.
think the common thread is everyone's buying into a luxury property and a luxury experience, and this is super luxury. So we have people, the youngest, one of our most expensive homes, right? And we sold it. I'm just doing the quick conversion to
Yeah.
US
All right.
dollars, right? Because
Thank you.
otherwise, if I
Thank you.
speak in Indian rupees, yeah. So
Yeah.
about in the early day, when I say early days, I mean say 5 years ago, halfway through the
Sure.
journey, about five million US dollars
Wow.
was bought by a 36-year-old finance professional.
Wow.
So we have 32-year-olds buying our homes. We have 50 and 60-year-olds buying our homes, and they're spread across India and internationally. A lot of Indians living abroad buy with us as well. So it's really a good spread of people.
Right. Well, you have it sounds like you've got a huge market. It's not narrow at all. It seems like you're hitting a
Yeah.
wide. And are there any foreigners that are buying, or can you buy as a foreigner into India?
No, you can't. You actually
Oh,
can't
okay.
buy in the areas that we operate. You as a foreigner, you can't buy. But if you're an Indian who lives abroad, you can.
Can
Uh,
okay.
so you could be you could have never you could not be born in India. But if you're of
Oh,
Indian
okay.
origin, and you have the appropriate paperwork, you can actually buy in India.
Oh, okay. And are these
Yeah.
second homes or first homes?
So, it's a great question, Debbie. 8, 9 years ago, 90% of our clients were using these as second homes. But if I look at my client spread now and the way they use it, 30 to 35% of my homeowners are actually primary kind of residents. That means they're spending
Nice.
8 to 10 months a year in these homes.
Nice.
Another 30% of them would be people using them in a semi-primary way, which means they're spending about 4 to 6 months a year in these properties. And then the remaining 40 odd percent are actually using them as second homes. So that's kind of how it's changed over the last 5 years.
And you have I tried to say all the different areas that you're in, but you're in more than Goa. So tell us about the
Yeah,
other cities you've grown to, and visually give me an idea of where they are on
yeah,
the map.
yeah. No, no, super. It's a great question. So Goa, I've explained. The second location we're in, and it's actually a big market for us now, is a place called Alibag, Alibaug. Now, Alibag is known as the Hamptons of Mumbai, of Bombay.
Oh, all
Um,
right.
and but it's literally it's 20 minutes away by boat, by speedboat. So you take a speedboat, you're there in 20 minutes. And it's almost become an extension of Bombay. It's also a coastal. Bombay is by the coast, but so is Alibag. Bombay has high rises. Alibag does not have high rises. Alibag is more spread out. Think the Hamptons. It's very similar.
Okay.
And just like the Hamptons, Alibag also has Bombay's rich and elite and your finance professionals and your hedge fund managers and your private equity bosses and your industrialists and your entrepreneurs all buying in Alibag because they get there in 20 minutes, right? So like
Wow, that's nice.
a lot, yeah, a lot of people just, take a boat or take a chopper and they're at work on Monday morning straight from Alibag. So that's another big market for us. And then finally, our third market is a market in the north of India, which is about 2 hours away from Bombay. It's in a place called Kasauli, but it's very close to and there are other cities around it like Chandigarh, etc. But it's closer to Delhi, which is the capital of India.
Okay.
So a lot of people from Delhi visit Kasauli. Now, Kasauli is a bit different from Goa and Alibag, where Goa and Alibag are coastal beach kind of destinations. Kasauli is in the hills,
Okay.
so Kasauli is you know 5 to 6,000 feet above mean sea level. It's in the mountains. In India, your cities can get very hot in the summer, and even half the year, it's quite warm, right? So people love to get away to the hills, to the mountains, and Kasauli is just a perfect getaway. It's accessible. You have a big international airport just 1 hour away, and yet you can drive from Delhi in 5 or 6 hours. So really accessible to your big cities in the north.
Everything's so convenient. I would think with India being as big as it is, I thought everything would be much further to get to. And I
You
had no
know,
idea there were so many international airports and that
yeah,
transportation
yeah,
was so good.
yeah. So Debbie, actually, India is a big country in terms of the number of people, but
Hmm.
it's not a very large country for the number of people that we have. Uh,
Okay.
for 1.3 billion people, actually, the population density is really high compared to the US or even China.
Okay. Okay. And when you're in these three cities, do you call them cities or towns, the three different areas?
Goa is a state, actually.
A state. Okay, a
Yeah,
state. I know.
Alibag's a little town, right?
Little
Alibag's
town.
similar to the Hamptons.
Okay.
Kasauli is also a small town. It's not a city. These are towns. They're smaller towns.
And are they dense? I mean, obviously not as dense as the other places, the Delhi and
No,
Bombay, but are
no.
they a little bit more like people have a little bit more space around them, people
You actually,
wise?
yeah, you actually have a lot more space, and that's one of the reasons
Okay.
a lot of people want to buy, right? And I mean, maybe I'll segue a little bit, right? And I'll just kind
Yep.
of tell you, I'll explain the Indian context to you, right? The
Yep.
cities in India, like I was saying, it's such a densely populated country. Cities in India are fairly unlivable, right? Just think, I mean, closest comp in the American context would be Manhattan, right? It's
Okay.
tiny and really populated, right? From people from
Right.
all over the world and the US, right? So
Right.
what happens is you have a lot of traffic, you have a lot of pollution, you have, different cities in India have different issues, right? Bangalore has a lot of traffic, Bombay has a lot of traffic and some pollution. Delhi is really polluted, and the local governments are dealing with it and working with it, but it's not easy, right? When you
Right.
have such a large population and you're growing so fast, it's not easy. So what happens is people want to kind of invest in lifestyle as well now, right? So they have their businesses and they have their day jobs in Bombay and Delhi and Bangalore and Hyderabad and Calcutta and all of that. But they want their children to breathe better air and they want to have space for themselves and they want to be in
Mhm.
nature and they want their privacy and they want, to kind of be removed from the day to day. And if you have infrastructure, so if you have the airports and if you have the internet, if you have electricity and if you have water and you have all of that, they're more than happy to actually invest in real estate in some of these areas. So
Okay.
Goa, Alibag, Kasauli, they are much less dense. And because of the building construction rules and laws in these places, so in India, real estate is actually a very hyper local subject. Um, so the rules for constructing in Delhi are very different from in Bombay, which are very different from in Goa, which are very different from somewhere else.
Okay.
So these areas, Goa, Alibag, Kasauli, actually have very stringent rules around construction and development, which make them much more spread out, much more livable, and hence gives you a lot more breathing room, so to speak. So
Nice.
I know I gave you a long answer, but I just wanted
No,
to give
no,
you the
it's
context.
no, it is very good because like I said, it's all from TV, and I'm sure a lot of us
Yeah.
have that are listening. Obviously, some have been. Well, my biggest on my bucket list is to go to a 3-day Indian wedding. So keep that in mind.
if
You have any,
if you
you need a play. I need a, my husband and I need to come. Well, I don't know if I could get him to go, but I would love to. I have an Australian friend. She has been, and I have always, I just, what I've seen, and my daughter's friend has been to these 3-day Indian weddings. They look amazing. And so the color and the opulence did you have a 3-day amazing, incredible wedding?
I I actually had a 3-day wedding, but it was not a typical. It's not what you're imagining. We had
Yeah.
we had a bit of a different format. It was 3 days long, but it was a lot more a lot less formal and a lot less out there.
Yeah.
But but what I will do is I will make sure that you're invited to uh,
Thank you.
a 3-day wedding. I'm married, otherwise if it was mine, I would have definitely had
Right.
you.
I'd be able to be invited to your wedding.
Yeah,
No. Oh my God. It
exactly.
just looks amazing. All right, first, are there hotels or places that foreigners could go stay in these three beautiful cities you just described, or rent like a VRBO? And I think in what you do, you might do when you said stays, that must
Yeah.
be like a VRBO, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. So absolutely. So let me take both your questions. I think question
Okay.
number one is yes. In Goa, you have almost every large international and national hotel chain. So
Okay.
the Marriott, the Hilton, and then in India, your largest hotel brand is the Taj group of hotels. It's
Okay.
actually very large, publicly listed group. So they have 6 hotels in Goa. I think 5 or 6 hotels in
Wow.
Goa.
It's big.
So Goa has many hotels.
Okay.
Uh, Alibag has 2 or 3, one international, 2 Indian.
Okay.
Kasauli actually has very few branded hotel chains. There are boutique hotels, but much less
Nice.
branded hotels.
Right. But nice.
Now, so that's vis-a-vis hotels. But we're seeing a very clear shift in the way the hospitality business is working in India, similar to what you all are seeing in the West, right? Similar to what you all
Mhm.
saw 7, 8 years ago in the West, when Airbnb kind of just exploded, right? Um,
Right.
in India, people love renting villas. Look, Debbie, you have to again understand Indians. When an American or European or someone from the West goes on a holiday or a vacation, and you go on 10 vacations in a year, 7 or 8 of them will typically be with your spouse or just your immediate family, right? Your kids,
Right.
your spouse. That's it. Small group, 2 people, 4 people, 3 people. That's the max, right?
Right.
Indians Indians actually have large families, and we love our friends, right? So not only do you have large families, you also have a large friend circle, and your friends are like your family, and your family are like your friends. And so when you're vacationing, right, your average group size is 8 or 10 people, not 2 to 4 people, right?
Wow.
So in that setting, a villa, and actually a luxury villa, works much better for them than a hotel,
Right.
right? Because your swimming pool is private; it's just for you.
Right.
Your living spaces are private; it's just for you and your group of friends and family.
Hmm.
The kitchen is not giving you a menu saying, "Hey, you can, you know, only order off this menu." Your kitchen's actually a private chef and his team saying, "Hey, we can make you whatever you want, whenever you want."
Wow.
You have no rules, so you can swim at 3 in the morning. No one's
Right.
stopping you. It's not like, oh, the hotel pool is shut for the night. There's no such thing. Um, so villa rentals have really taken off in India. And like you alluded to, we have a brand called Lohono Stays. It's owned by us,
Okay.
which manages and layers on to the real estate business. So Isprava builds these beautiful homes, sells them, and then Lohono steps in, manages them, runs the concierge service, has all the villa staff, runs this whole team of chefs and butlers, and
Wow.
like I said, the bells and whistles. So if you're a guest renting or you're a homeowner, you actually
Hmm.
don't have to worry about a thing. You're having a 5 or 7 star hotel experience in a villa setting. So it's the best of
Nice.
both worlds. Again, a peculiarity about India and Indians is we require service. So if you're going to ask us to do our own laundry or make our own cup of tea, we're not going to want to do it. You have to service
A
it.
cup of tea. Oh my gosh. You guys are
Um,
so spoiled.
yeah, we're
You
a
must have
fortunate.
hated America. You had to actually do stuff for yourself, unless you came with
Yeah.
servants.
No one gets to go to America. You mean you do your own thing. But in India, my point is that it's a very service-oriented country in general.
Right.
So we ensure that we service our homes to really the highest level, right? It's like living in a 5 or 7 star hotel, but in a home and in a villa. So these are very popular in Goa, in Alibag, in Kasauli. They're very, very popular.
That's incredible. So you have the real estate, you have Lahona Stays, who is, let's say, the
Yes.
VRBO or apart, and
Yeah.
then and there that's part of the whole concierge is Lahona Stays. They
Yeah.
do everything.
Yeah.
And then so when someone,
And
let's walk through an experience. So how does someone rent from you or Lahona
yeah.
Stays? And then just highlight what are the services they get from
Yeah.
the airplane, flying in to being picked up to everything else, just to give us a
Yep. Yeah.
flavor.
Perhaps what I can do, Debbie, is just close out the third pillar of the business and
Sure.
then
Yeah.
kind of build out the
Perfect.
experience because it'll all tie in. So the third pillar of the business is a new brand that we've just launched. It's our private members club. So it's primarily for our homeowners, but also for a select few, non-homeowners who actually subscribe to a certain value system, etc.
Okay.
So sorry, just like you have Soho House or any of these other private member clubs, right? We've actually built out our own private member club business. It's called Solene, Solene, and it's primarily, like I said, for our homeowners, but we also built it out for a few non-homeowners as
Hmm.
well. So let me now kind of answer your question. So what's the
Perfect.
experience? And um, let's assume you're actually buying a home from us. Let's start there,
Okay.
right? You buy a
Perfect.
home from us and we build this beautiful home for you. It's each home is different, each home is personalized, each home is customized, each home is for you and your family. Right? So we really understand you before we actually fit out your home, right? Because every family uses their home differently. Um, Once that's done and we've handed over this home, our model is we don't just do we do everything. Like we construct, we buy the land, we diligence it, we take away all the friction of doing that. We then build these beautiful homes. They're completely fully fitted out. So
Mhm.
interiors down to furniture, linens, crockery, cutlery,
Wow.
the Nespresso machine, the pods for the Nespresso machine, your internet, your Netflix, even your Netflix account is set
Wow.
up when you walk in.
That's
Um,
incredible. I think
you
that's
look,
probably one of the most frustrating things.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so much so, Debbie, that your kitchen is stocked with butter and cheese and produce. I
Wow.
mean, literally, it's fully stocked with cereal and bread and cheeses. And I mean, when you walk in, you bring your clothes. We do everything else, right? That's literally the model. These homes are just spectacular homes, private swimming pools in every home, and so you buy a home, you receive this unbelievable product, which is fully specced out, and then the Lohono team kind of comes in and layers on top all this amazing technology and service, right? So the 24 by
Mhm.
7 concierge, the staff in your villa who are cooking for you and serving you and cleaning your home and cleaning your pool and your landscaping, and everything happens every single day. All of this is on a mobile application.
Wow.
Everything is transparent. We We even pay your bills on your behalf, your electricity bills, your water bills, and then you just reimburse us later, right? We just upload all the
Oh
bills
God,
onto
that's
mobile.
incredible. We had a second home and that was me doing all that work. It was
Exactly, right?
the
Yeah,
water softener, the gardener, the bug spray. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona.
E-
I mean, there's
yeah,
things that you don't even know that you need from
yeah,
California. I mean, that's a lot that you guys take away from the homeowner.
yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what we intended to do, right? Just remove the friction from home buying. So you get all of that, right? And then this incredible concierge team, right, is at the fulcrum, at the heart of it all. So you need to pick up from the airport, your your PA, your EA, whoever, right? Just kind of uploads your boarding pass or your ticket onto the app. A car is sent to the airport with a driver or a chauffeur. They will take you to your home. Your villa is completely stocked every time you come with food, with drinks, with whatever it is, right? We then have tied up with amazing yoga teachers and fitness
Mm,
instructors and different chefs from different restaurants who can curate experiences for you.
wow.
You know, we've also realized that at the luxury, and we always knew this, and we've doubled down on it. At the luxury end of the market, be it real estate or hospitality, experiences are super critical.
Right.
So you know, we kind of have an almost an open source platform for experiences where this really cool German lady who lives in Goa will take you kayaking down this
Oh my
special,
gosh.
that no one else knows about, right? And you can get that through
Wow.
us, right? We actually curate all of this. This lady from France actually teaches you pottery. She has a little studio in Goa, and we've tied up with her, right? So if you're a guest or a homeowner and you want to actually learn pottery, go kayaking, whatever it might be, right? Sound healing, sound baths,
Right.
yoga, fitness. I mean, you name it, you all you need to do is tell our concierge team, and we'll arrange it within a few hours, right?
That's
Um,
incredible.
Restaurant reservations, uh, you know, even restaurants to which you actually wouldn't get a table yourself, we'll ensure you get a table because we have those relationships. So it's a full service. So whether you're a guest renting from Lahono or you're a
Mhm.
homeowner, you get the same level of service when you stay with us in one of our villas. So that's kind of
Incredible.
the experience we're giving you. It's you literally just have fun. Don't worry about a thing. We'll take care of everything else.
And is it hard to, I mean, you guys have, I mean, it's incredible and you offer so much. Is it hard to get people to fill all these positions? You know, it's sometimes
Yeah.
here, it seems like in America, we're having a tough time getting people to work. Is it
Yeah.
hard to find good staff and good people?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's a challenge anywhere, right? I
Right.
mean, look, we have 800 people working
Wow.
with us across the brands, right? So, of course, it's hard. It's a constant, you have to keep investing in them. You have to keep
Right.
upskilling. You have to keep training. You have to keep them engaged. You have to treat them fairly. You have to make sure that everyone's happy. So, yes, it isn't easy, but I mean, it's something we learn. We learn something every day, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So no, it isn't easy, but it's something that we just have to do and figure out.
Absolutely. So now the members club, how does that all fit into
Yeah.
the
So
piece of the pie?
it's actually a great question because when we thought about this and we said, look, we now have, and let's put some numbers to it, right? I'll just put some numbers to the entire thing, right? We have delivered 175 homes. These are delivered people living in these homes. We have in and around another 400 homes under construction.
Wow.
Um, and of which 90% of these homes are sold. These are already pre-sold, off-plan kind of homes. So, uh, so effectively, if you look 24 months out, right, we have about 550 odd homes that are going to be completed and delivered, right, with several more under construction. But let's talk about delivered, right?
Right.
That an average family in India is about four people. So you
Okay.
you already have about 2,500 homeowners in your environment, right, in your
Right.
ecosystem. In addition, Lohono stays in Goa alone has 20,000 people that stay with us. That means do the short-term rentals with us in Goa
That's
alone in a year.
incredible.
right?
Wow.
It's actually a little bit more than 20,000, 21 odd thousand, right? So if I just round up a little bit, right, you're talking about 25,000 people between my homeowners and my Lehonos guests coming through my doors in Goa alone, right? Then Alibag separate, everything
Right.
separate, right? So and our guests rely on us, our homeowners rely on us. They're all using our
Mhm.
concierge service. And you know what's amazing about our business, this is the part we love the most about our business, is that people when they buy homes from us, you can buy real estate from anyone, right? And you know this better than anyone, right? That
Right.
you can buy real estate from anyone at the end of the day, but you buy from certain people because you actually subscribe to a certain value system
Right.
of the brand, right? And that's true for anything, but it's especially true for real estate because real estate's a very personal investment. So we're great friends with all our homeowners. It's a great community, and we've built this amazing community of homeowners and guests at Lohono, right? People know each other, people do business together, people, and we said, you know what, the time's right now to actually build out a physical manifestation of this community that we had already built, right?
Right.
Where people have a safe space, where people are all they're so diverse, but all bound by one common thread and value system, and keeping Isprava at the heart of it all, right? So we
Mhm.
said the time's right. Let's build out this members club. Let's build out the brand, and we'll build out several clubs actually over the next few years. We've just launched our first one in Goa, and that was the thought process behind this. Let's have great food. I think human beings in general love food and drinks. That's how we
Right.
socialize, right? Indians in
Exactly.
particular, and Indians in particular love socializing over meals, etc. So let's have great F&B at the club.
Uh-huh.
Let's have a gym. Let's have pickleball courts. We have 3 restaurants, 2 bars, a gym, a sauna, a spa.
So
Uh,
it's
uh,
big. It's much bigger than a Soho house. It's a country club you've created.
Yeah, so the first one is actually a smaller version of what we will be creating, but yes, we already
Okay.
have all of this. So it's in terms of scale and size, it's similar to a Soho House today, but the
Okay.
next one we do will be similar to a country club,
Okay.
where we'll have squash courts and tennis courts, all of that as well. But that'll be the next one we do. So yeah, so that was the reason we did it.
That's
We thought it makes
it
perfect
makes
sense. And
sense. So
yeah,
it's kind of something. So when we had a house in Scottsdale, there was a community center, so you can
yeah,
get together with people. But then we joined the country club, which that's part.
exactly,
So if you buy into your home, they get this club experience as
exactly.
part of it.
Yeah.
And then when you come in to rent, you also get to participate in that
Yes,
club.
you do, but in a limited manner, obviously not as much as a
Right.
homeowner would. But yes,
Right.
so you can use the club, you can use some of the facilities, you can eat at the restaurants, you can drink at the
Okay.
bar, you can use the gym, you can basically do almost everything. But when it comes to the facilities like the gym and the pickleball courts and all of that, of course, if there are homeowners, and it's
They
full
get
with
first
homeowners,
right.
we'll actually, yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So.
And then
Uh,
I think you said, are there some people in the community, if they wanted to join, they can
yeah.
join this members club?
Yep, yep. So again, we're very deeply rooted in the local communities that we operate.
Right.
It's something that we've always been very particular about from day one. And in all ways, right? Like for example, in Goa, a lot of our architecture is Portuguese inspired, right? Because
Oh,
we don't want to come into Goa and then suddenly build a glass, edgy, Miami-looking structure, right?
right.
It would just
Right.
seem out of place. It's lovely. It looks amazing in Miami, but it would look out of place
Right.
in Goa, right? So,
Absolutely.
we want to make sure that we always do what's right for the local communities. So again, for local members, we do have a small we do set aside certain membership for local members. We again, Goa is so unique. So you have a lot of writers, you have a lot of, you have people running pottery studios, you have people, from such filmmakers and journalists, and just people from such different walks of life, that they're
Right.
really cool, and they'll as long as they subscribe to the value system that we're trying to create, right? We're more than happy to have them and invite them to be members.
Right. It sounds incredible. I mean, from Bombay to Goa sounds like just completely
Yeah,
different places. And so you said you have the one club, but then you're going to build this bigger club. But I think you said there was three clubs that you were going to be building.
Yeah, so there's one that's done. We will then do a bigger one in Goa, and then we'll do another one in Alibag, which will be the third
Okay.
club. So that's broadly how where that's the line of sight over the next 24 to 36 months, vis-a-vis the club business, right? And how it'll integrate back into the real estate and hospitality business.
Right. It's incredible. It's just amazing, and it's so nice. I'm sure your parents are very proud of you, and how your brother and you and your brother get to work together, and the families. It sounds like you're very close, and it sounds like a big Sicilian family, like I am. So
Yeah,
I do get that. It's
that's the
incredible.
closest thing actually. A
Yeah.
Sicilian family and an Indian family is very similar actually.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so amazing. So you've been doing this for 9 years.
9 years.
Is that
Yeah,
right? nine
we've been
years.
doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were the first couple, you were almost spec. You built them and then sold them right away. So now are they all just custom? And how custom do you go? Is there a model and they choose from one, two, or three? Or I mean, it's a lot to build one house and have all that input. Is there a part where you say, okay, it's going to be this, and then you can add this, this, and this?
Absolutely, Debbie. I mean, think about the scale we're at now, right? We're doing
Yeah, it's huge.
400. We have nearly 400 homes under construction right now. You can't, and these are not apartments. These are not,
No.
these are villas. These are homes, right? So,
And give us
uh,
square footage if you can. How many square foot? I went online, but the audience
yeah.
doesn't
So,
know
so
how many.
your average home is about 4.5 to 5,000 square feet. That's
Big.
the average size of home. They're big homes, right?
Yeah,
And to have 400 of them under construction,
it's
fully
crazy.
kitted out, you're doing interiors down to literally linens and crockery and cutlery. You're doing swimming pools in every single home. I mean, it's
Wow.
so to your point, the customization cannot be what an individual interior designer or architect would do. That's not what
Right.
we do. We are
Yeah.
developers, right? We're a real estate brand in Isprava. And so what we do is we work with a bunch of really great, Indian as well as international architects, etc. We
Hmm.
master plan a project, right? A project
Hmm.
can have one home or it can have 15 homes, depending on the size of the
Okay.
land that we purchase.
Okay.
Once we've master planned, we come up with the facades and the external, the architecture and the facades, etc., is all held by us. We hold that pen. We don't take any inputs from a client on that. What we do take an input on is, let's say if a client comes in really early, right, and he says, "Hey, look, if it's permissible, why can I make a 5 bedroom home into a 6 bedroom home?"
Got it. Yeah.
That kind of input we might take if he comes in really early,
Right.
but otherwise, even that, in
Right.
90%, we don't do that. But when it
Right.
comes to the facade and the architecture, etc., that's all us. Um, Once we go into the interior process, when we're doing the interiors and the fit outs, to understand your preferences, the patterns you like, the colors you like, the textures you like, how you're going to use each room, right? Are your kids going to be there? Are they not? Do you have a dog? Do you not? That kind of thing.
Right.
We have a team that actually spends a little bit of time with you on that. It's also a
Okay.
lot of technology, like we have it all on an app where you can actually interact with
Wow.
us.
That's
Basis that, we actually put together, a 45, 50 slide mood board, just for you for your home. Um, we present
amazing.
it to you. We take one round of feedback, and after that, no more feedback. Um,
Okay.
now after this, we want we don't even let homeowners come to the site. We say
Oh,
now,
that's good.
we'll
Hands
deliver
off.
in, yeah, now we'll deliver in 2 years or whatever it is, right? Depending on
Right.
the time of the project.
Right.
So
Well,
there's a
that's good.
deep amount of personalization in understanding the customer, but
Right.
it's not customized to a client coming on site and saying, "Oh no, can you change the tiles in this room?" And now, none of that. It's impossible to do it that way.
Yeah.
We use technology a lot. We use processes a lot, and we're able to. And no two homes look the same because we're able to do that.
Wow. Right.
So it really is. We've had to create our own way of working, our own processes, our own
Yes.
technology, our own supply chain. I mean, it's really been us creating it ourselves because there was no playbook for our business. It's not a
Right.
typical real estate business.
It's incredible. Okay, but I keep forgetting to ask, what does Insprava mean? It must have a name or meaning. Or
So,
meaning.
so, so it's a funny story actually. Isprava very simply means strength, and it means strength in a Slavic slash Latvian language. Now, the story is that we wanted the Greek word for strength because real estate depicts you want strength, foundation, base,
Right. Yes.
and whatever the Greek word for it was, the dot com was not available. So
You had to
so
pivot and adjust.
we literally then just figured out in some European language, and that's kind of how we literally just searched it, and Isprava sounded great. It had the meaning that we liked, and the dot com was available. So
Right. I
that's how we
understand that.
yep
Of
yep.
course.
So that
I didn't know
that
if
that's
it
how
was
we
what I knew there was some story behind it, but
yep
it's
yep.
wonderful.
That's the
Well,
candid story.
yeah, yeah. Well, I love it. And strength, yes, foundation. And is there? This is incredible. We had 1 out of 3 commercials because we were just having such a good time. I was having such a great time learning about this business. I will be diving online as soon as we get out off to look at Goa and all the other 2 places, and it looks incredible. What other last things that I didn't ask that you can share with us about your business? It's just incredible.
No, I think, like I said, we're 9 years old. We like I said at the top of the conversation, we're now actually in 3 different industries, right? 3 different businesses:
Right.
real estate, hospitality, private members club, which is a different business in all for all intents and purposes. We have, if you count homes under construction and delivered homes. We have over 500, actually close to 600, the high 500s actually, homes that have been delivered plus under construction. And these are the who's who of India, right? Industrious business.
Absolutely. And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Our website, our Instagram, those are where we're just quickest in turnaround in turning things around is the website or Instagram.
Uh,
So yeah,
Incredible. Just an incredible just journey, and how you 2 came home from New York and London to with no idea to
yeah,
building this amazing company. Well, you're also in technology since you're creating all of these, the way to keep all of this straight, all of the different projects that you're juggling at one time. Well, it's incredible. And thank you so much. And it's way past your bedtime. I know
that's okay.
it's deep into one in the morning for you. And I thank you so much for being a guest today. It was incredible. And I can't wait to come to India. I never really wanted to go, and now I'm right to Goa. You'll be my first call. We'll have to rent one of your
No,
places. Absolutely.
no, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and you must come to India. I mean, you should
I
come
will.
not just to see our business. You'll get a flavor of what India is about. I mean, it's
Right.
unbelievably exciting. There's just so much going on, so many dynamic entrepreneurs, professionals. I mean, it's a fun place. So we would
You'll
love
have
to
to
have you here.
give me an itinerary of what I need to see. I'd like
I
it through
will.
your
I will.
eyes. Yeah.
I, I,
And
I will
keep
ping
me.
you. I will ping you offline, and I will.
Yes.
We'll set something up.
And make sure I get to an Indian wedding as well, an
One
opulent one.
hundred, 100%.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.